So, Emma,
Yes.
I would love to hear a little bit about how you as an actress manage the process of going through an audition, all the highs and lows, and how you prepare for them in the first place. I mean, are they something that you enjoy, or are they something that you absolutely dread?
I would say that my first thought is, yuck, I don't want to do this. And then I have to find a way to enjoy it and enjoy the preparation and the process, which is probably very similar to going for an interview for a new job. It's mostly a painful experience, and then people find a way to enjoy themselves.
Are you saying that that's something that you've been able to do in the course of your auditions?
Yes, I think that I enjoy the process, so I think there's probably a lot of potential with interviews to enjoy the interview process itself. So I also take heart in the idea that there's a book actually by one of my acting teachers called Audition for Your Career, Not Your Job, by Tim Phillips, and it's the idea that when you walk into the room, you're not there to get that job necessarily. You're there to do good work and to build a reputation as a good actor, and trust that counts. So you're building something for your career, for that larger arc, than just getting that job there and then. Firstly, it gives me perspective, so I don't walk into that room with kind of crippled by the stakes of the situation. And also it gives me a sense of empowerment. So I know why I'm doing this. Actually, I'm auditioning for my career, not needing this job, which is a very different orientation.
That's excellent. And you and I have spoken quite a bit about preparing yourself physically for an interview, and it strikes me that, well, I know this from my own experience, when I went back into interviews, having been not match fit for 5 or 6 years, I had no sense of my own physicality and my own physical presence in an interview room, and how I held myself, and therefore how I held the room. And so I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about how you go and prepare for an audition.
Well, firstly, I would say that usually I feel unprepared, however much preparation I do. So there usually comes a point at which I have to draw a line in the sand and go, okay, I didn't do an hour of yoga, I didn't do, my 15 minutes of Alexander technique, and I haven't pored over my script for 3 hours as I wanted to because of this, this, and this, and this. Now I just have to draw a line, and it's enough, and the most important thing I can do is to be present.
Yeah.
The worst thing I can do would be to take my sort of, sense of I haven't done enough into that room and be in my head about that,
Okay.
rather than be in the moment in the actual interview or audition itself. So that's the first thing. And then in terms of physicality, yes, I do find it really helpful. Obviously, as an actor, it's essential. It's part of the actual craft. But just me as a human being, when I'm embodied, I do feel bigger, more alive, more empowered. Two simple things really is breathing, because I can often check and go, I'm actually holding my breath, I'm not
Absolutely.
taking a breath.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, I know that most people have a sense of basic yoga exercise and things like that. So rolling up and down the spine, for me, is both sort of a literal and figurative thing. So it immediately makes me feel taller, and sort of a more wider sense of awareness. And also, I just love the fact that it gives me a sort of figurative idea that actually I have a backbone.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
So you and I have done this exercise before, and I've taken it into meetings with me, and I've really felt I felt much more impactful actually than I normally would if I just went in and delivered what I had to say. So would you mind if we did one of those exercises now?
Sure.
And we could just show everybody what it feels like. Just a really simple thing that you could do. What you could do it in the loo, couldn't you, before you went into an interview?
Yeah.
And just carry that energy into the interviewing room with you.
We were talking about rolling down the spine to feel tall, and that it's a kinesthetic experience. So it's not something about doing it the right way or making the right shapes, but it's what counts is how it feels. So we're just rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae, head first, and the head is the first thing to go down and the last thing to come up, okay? And keeping the knees unlocked. Remembering to breathe. And just move the head, so a bit like a ragdoll. Remembering to breathe. And then anchoring in your feet. Keeping the knees unlocked. And the head is the last thing to come up. I automatically feel like my energy is all up here now.
Yeah.
Whereas before I just did not feel that.
Yeah.
So I'd rather go and walk in the room feeling that than not. I don't know how it feels for you.
It feels exactly the same, and it feels like I've gathered back all of the energy that I've lost, preparing, transporting myself to the interview, thinking about all of the things that I want to get across. I'm back, I'm just me, I'm in myself, and I'm aware of all of my energy and everything that I've got on offer. And so I'm giving myself the best chance to give the best account of myself. And I'm me, the person Laura, before I'm the CV or I'm the discussion that we have. I'm me, the personal brand, which is the most effective tool I have in an interview. It feels good.
Okay, so the next one we were going to do is swinging. So
I love this
it's
one.
Just, I know, and it's just an extension of the rolling down the spine. But the most important thing is with the breath. So I'm swinging, when I'm swinging down, I'm exhaling, and when I'm swinging up, I'm inhaling, and I've got my knees unlocked.
Yeah.
So I'll just demonstrate it.
I've got to get involved.
Get involved. Okay. So we're on your toes. Yeah, you can just fall over or whatever.
And it's all the breathing out just takes all the tension out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
And
is,
of course, I know that my blood is now pumping a bit. It's the whole of you, it's the whole body. And you're breathing the whole of you.
and you've just got a chance of enjoying it as well.
Yeah.
And so how do you make the best of that process where you're putting yourself up for rejection every single time, aren't you?
Yeah.
So how are you dealing with that, the potential for all of the no's?
Should we sit back on the sofa?
It's a lot harder to go back into a job on the strength of your CV. You really need to be showing who you are. Because actually the stakes can feel really high because you're thinking, I just can't take a no today. I don't want to make a fool of myself potentially. But I have never had an experience myself, I don't know about you, where I've just stretched myself, pushed myself out there, shown up and regretted it.
Well, rejection it's never easy, really. I think that I was probably in denial about the amount of rejection that I was experiencing, actually. There's always a consolation for me in learning. So if I can learn something from the experience about my craft or about, how I've presented myself, or even if it's just literally putting a face to a name that I didn't know before.
Yes.
That's really useful for me. And so I I find a lot of solace in that. But also, failure is part of the creative process.
Of course it is.
That's something that I just have to integrate into the whole experience. That is what it means to be an actor.
If we think about women who have taken a break and they're coming back, and the biggest obstacles, I think, to them relaunching their careers and doing what they love are fear and a lack of confidence. What would your number one tip be for just how they view that situation? What's a mindset shift that they could adopt quite quickly?
Okay, so for me, the most effective mindset shift is shifting to an attitude of service. So if I'm going to an interview or an audition, to literally have in my mind a mantra of how can I help?
So good.
And it means that I'm not thinking about me, my worry, my fear, and all my personal insecurities. I'm actually thinking, how can I serve this scene? How can I serve these people, this project, this moment? And that really, that shift gives me so much relief, and it really empowers me in the moment to be walking in the room with that attitude.
That is so fantastic. Of course, when we're going into an interview, what we need to be gearing up for is thinking about how we can remove the pain from an employer. What is it that us being hired potentially would address? What hassle would we take away from them? It's all exactly the same thing. Emma, thank you. You're amazing.
Oh, my pleasure, Laura.